Here we go. So we are live. We are here with Jon Loomer. Such a pleasure, man. Thank you for spending time with us and for being here with us. It's amazing. You have so many people from our community that follows you for so many years. In my eyes, you are pure legend. So it's outstanding to be here with you today. How do you feel? How are you?
I'm good, Alex. Thanks so much for having me. Just a pleasure to still be doing this all these years later and to be able to talk to you.
Yeah, speaking of which, can you introduce yourself for the probably 1% of people who don't know who you are?
Sure. So, I started my business about 12 years ago now. And for most of that time, my focus has been on advanced Facebook ads education.
Yeah.
So I've been through it all, honestly, with Facebook ads from the very beginning. And not only from the last 12 years, but my first exposure to Facebook from a business perspective was when I worked for the National Basketball Association back in 2007, and we partnered with
I have one
Facebook.
question. Do you know Kobe Bryant personally?
Do I know, what was that?
Kobe Bryant.
Oh, Kobe Bryant. No. So actually, though, I mean, certainly there are people I worked with who would have, right?
Okay, here we go.
There's somebody, Dave McMenamin, who you might be familiar with.
Yep.
He's a reporter. He has been a beat reporter for the Lakers over the years, and I worked with him, and I know him well. And he used to work for NBA.com. When we worked in the same building. So that's as close as I could get. But I've met some of the players over the years, but my primary role there was overseeing fantasy games, fantasy basketball.
Right.
So there weren't a lot of occasions where I was like going to All-Star or draft or something like that and talking to players, but it happened occasionally. So it's still
beautiful.
Pretty cool.
So sorry for interrupting.
No. It's okay.
I'm just a Lakers fan, you know.
Yeah. So you know David McMenamin then? Yeah,
yes,
sure.
I do.
So anyway, that was my first exposure back in 2007, and I fell in love with the platform. But that was also from a business perspective, because I was the admin of the first NBA Facebook group, official NBA Facebook group. This was before there were pages, right? So that was way back then. And the reason we partnered with Facebook is to have them build an app for us before you could build your own app. So anyway, that's my history with Facebook and why, honestly. So I left the NBA after 3 seasons, and I actually ended up getting laid off twice. And in the process, I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just started a website and I started writing, and eventually I started writing more and more about Facebook marketing. And then I started building my personal brand with Facebook. And to do that, I also used ads. So I started writing more about ads. So that was really 12 years ago. And so I've been through all these changes with Facebook advertising ever since then. And now the unique place I'm in is, okay, I've been around for this long. I have to continue to evolve. I can't just keep doing the same thing. So now it's short form video as well. And everything we're talking about with ChatGPT and AI, and it's just lots of changes right now.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. Our industry is very rapidly changing. So that would be my first question, actually. What is the future from your perspective of marketing, and how we can prepare for the changes ahead?
I don't have a crystal ball.
$1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's obviously changing, and I think AI. I mean, ChatGPT is kind of what we see as AI. A lot of us right now is AI, but it's just AI generally is going to significantly impact marketing. And I think there's a lot of fear around that. I mean, first of all, what does it do for copywriters? What does it do for design? If you could just type in, give me this, and it gives you, this stuff. I think ultimately what it's going to do is it's going to change our jobs, change our responsibilities and what we do. It's going to automate a lot of the things that were kind of our annoying tasks of the day. We don't have to waste as much time on those things. But I think look, where we are right now with AI is still very unpolished. I think most people realize that. So anyone who tries to like create a website that's written by AI is not going to be a very good website right now. That said, I think that kind of stuff will continue to get better and better. But what's going to happen is, look, if everybody has access to AI to make them better at marketing, then what is it that separates them? So you're still going to need these experts in marketing. And it's just going to be a different role, right? And those who leverage that technology will be better than those who put their head in the sand and try to ignore it and hope it goes away, because it's not going to go away. It's kind of like what happened with the internet, right?
Exactly.
The roles and responsibilities as a marketer pre-internet were way different. And if you wanted to ignore the internet and say, I'm not going to use the internet, you probably don't have a job in marketing anymore. So it's similar to that. What that looks like exactly, I think the main thing is we just have to be aware of what's going on and stay ahead of the curve, so it doesn't catch us by surprise. But I think the biggest thing for me that I'm curious about related to AI and the future of marketing is, we're in the very beginning stages of what an AI powered search engine looks like, whether it be Bing's Bard or Bing or Google Bard. And that, for me, scares me a little bit, that it could go from a search engine to an answer engine where it just automatically gives you the answer, maybe doesn't drive as much traffic. So for any of us who have benefited from organic search results all these years, maybe that's going to change. But what does that mean? And there's so many of those. Okay, this is going to change, but what does that mean? And how's it going to change? So I think, honestly, the most important thing going forward is, look, maybe our website won't be as important as it was. It's really tough to say. I think we need to stay in front of our audience, though, in any way we can. And right now, the best way to do that is short form video, just because it's the one format that can be applied just about everywhere.
Oh, it's such a topic. It's amazing how fast everything is changing. So have you tried ChatGPT in context of generating Facebook ad strategy, or any other ways that you actually use it already in your day-to-day work?
Yeah. So for the most part, how I've used it is for generating ideas and brainstorming. Right. So, and I've done a video on this as well, where I asked it. So basically, I presented it with the situation. There's this specific product I want to promote. Please help me generate a Facebook ad strategy to do this, and it'll give me an initial list of suggestions that are relatively good. But the main thing is, like, what we can't treat this as is like that's the final answer, because it's not. So then you go in and say, okay, well, I really like this idea. Can you provide more details there? And, how do I do this? And then, so that's, one of the cool things I saw in terms of Facebook ad strategy. Again, it's not that it's going to design a Facebook ad strategy for you. It's more about creating good ideas. And the other thing was, like, I was in the process of creating a training, and it's about short form video. And I was like, okay, here's my initial list of lessons. Please generate 10 more ideas for lessons that I could create for this training. And again, I provide background on what I'm trying to, who the target audience is and all that kind of stuff. And it provides some good ideas and some that I didn't like so much. And then I took some and then updated my list, and I said, okay, now generate some more. So it's that kind of thing. Right. For me right now, look, they're probably, I know there are people who are super smart who are using it in ways to automate some things, and like connecting the API, things of that nature. I'm not to that point, but I'm using it primarily just for helping me with, get over I don't know where to start, or give me this early starting point, and kind of like having somebody to bounce ideas off of, basically.
Got it. So what are some of the new advanced techniques that would suggest people to try in Facebook ads for 2023? Or what are some old school ones that might not be that effective nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, I think I became most known back in the days for some of my very detailed targeting.
Yes.
And really trying to control who sees an ad, and even creating a funnel of ads that so you could feel like you're part of an exclusive group. Engage with this ad, and then you'll see the next one, and then you see the next one, and you won't see the next one without engaging with that one too. And that kind of thing worked because it was cheap back then. Now, remarketing, it doesn't mean that remarketing is dead. Like, I think that specific types of remarketing still work, but like creating a whole funnel of ads probably isn't the best idea anymore, because each of those is going to be expensive. Adding them up is going to be expensive. And can you still be profitable with that is the question. So most of my remarketing is just a one shot. For example, like abandoned cart, you hit this landing page, you didn't convert. Why not? But beyond that, I think what I've had to open myself to, and I'm starting to see the power of, and I think a lot of advertisers who've been doing this for a long time are resistant to, is going broad. Yep. So essentially just removing all targeting, no custom audiences, no lookalike audiences, no detailed targeting. Don't even mess with age in most cases unless you have to because of law. And it's just country targeting. And at that point, what's most important is, what is the action you're optimizing for? And, what's your copy and creative? So then it's all about the algorithm, right? And the algorithm learning. So if you tell the algorithm that you want to get purchases, it's going to optimize for purchase. And now the algorithm combined with your copy and creative will do all the work. And look, it took me a long time to come around to that, because that sounds like putting a lot of trust in the hands of the algorithm.
Yeah.
But I also know that a lot of the manual work that we used to do with these ads, controlling the algorithm a little bit, either by targeting or placement, as an example, doing those things now usually just raises the price. So making it wide open, kind of is the way to go. And especially those who have access to advantage shopping campaigns now as well. Anything that's related to e-com. I mean, that's honestly pretty obviously Meta's focus is making advertising for e-com as effective as possible, because there are other areas that it doesn't do as well. Like anything that's top of the funnel engagement, driving quality traffic is something that I've complained about for years. But if you're selling a product, it does really well.
Yeah, very precious information. Thank you about that. Tell us about your experience with TikTok and short-term videos in general.
Yeah, so this is one of those things that I was, and I know I'm not alone in this. I was very slow to come around to for a lot of reasons. First of all, I've never really liked in the past being in front of a camera. It's just, one more thing to worry about. Like, how's the lighting? Did I shower yet today? Do I need to shave? All this kind of stuff. There's so many things to think about with the video, as opposed to just like sitting down and writing. And none of that stuff matters when you're writing a blog post, right? So I got away with just writing for years, and it did really well. But over time, writing blog posts has become less and less effective. It's still a big part of my strategy, but it's not what it used to be. And the big reason for that is because people consume content differently. Whereas 5-10 years ago, people loved reading my long blog posts, my long tutorials. Yep. Not as many people want to read a long tutorial anymore. So, after kind of coming to the point of no return where it's like, I have to do something differently because this isn't working anymore. I eventually came to the realization end of September last year that I'm going to do it. It's overwhelming, right? That first of all, how do you even use these apps? You know, what do you even do in TikTok? And also getting past thinking it's all about dancing, right, and memes and you know, trends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's the way I saw it. And actually, if you were to go back and look at my videos from like September before I committed to this, I was one of the few videos I created was kind of making fun of TikTok and what people did. And no one watched it. So, but that was kind of thing. But then there came a point where it's like, okay, I know I have to do this. I know I have to commit to it and not just kind of mess around with it. And I know that my first many videos are going to be terrible.
Yep.
And I think that's what everybody has to kind of accept and embrace. Like, and maybe you have a team, you know, videographer, and they can edit everything for you. Great. But most of us don't. And if you don't, you got to start somewhere, and no one's going to watch it in the beginning anyway. So once I realized this is what I had to do really to stay relevant more than, because I think a lot of people just weren't seeing my stuff anymore. I committed to creating at least one video every day. And then back in October, I actually published 70 videos in that month. And now, you know, between October and today, it's like over 250 videos I've created. And that's the key. Like, you have to create a lot of videos to learn, to get better, to see what works and what doesn't work. And I think if you were to look at, you know, what I created in the very beginning, it looks a lot different than what I create now. And also now I've got these crazy lights and stuff, like new mic, and, you know, everything's different because I've kind of figured out what I'm doing. But the main thing with TikTok for me, this is actually, you know, especially because of this talks of bans and everything else in the US, that I have to be worried about, especially, this isn't so much about platform, right? I think for me, this is about a commitment to a format. So the nice thing is I can create a video that I edit externally, publish it to TikTok, and I could take that same video, publish it to Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. I've actually just started Pinterest, which is crazy. I haven't touched Pinterest in 7 years. LinkedIn. I even turned some of these videos into short form podcast episodes. And honestly, it's been really helpful to me because I'm starting to reach people on Facebook and Instagram that had told me, like, they hadn't seen me in years because I wasn't playing the video game. You know, if I was just publishing links and stuff like I always had. And it's changed my business. And that's why I believe in it so much, because I see now the power of it. And I just hope that everybody else understands that too.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, the things that you say, that basically no matter how successful you are, you have to keep this beginner mindset, adapting along the way with the technology and changes. So it's obvious that Reels are taking over. And how should a business know what type of content to create to have a successful campaign?
So if we're talking just short form video here? Yeah. So this is where I had to adjust my mindset as well, right? So not only embrace video, but first of all, the links. There was always something to measure that was pretty important with links, right? So even when I'm just driving traffic to my website, that traffic was important for people to read my blog, because then when they're there on my website, and they might subscribe to my newsletter, they might sign up for something else, they might buy something. So there's all that reporting that I could get. With a video, you could include a link. On TikTok, you really can't. It doesn't even hyperlink unless you create an ad. Links aren't really part of the equation for the most part with these videos. But beyond that, it's a matter of letting go of the fact that the reporting, the measurement is going to be minimal, right? So that's the first thing, is to kind of understand approaching this is going to be different than approaching links. With videos, I'd say especially your first, I mean, I'm still in this phase. It's been 6 months I've been creating videos. I do not promote anything. Everything is trying to be helpful, informative, educational, whatever. Now, it depends on your company, your business, your niche, as far as what you do in those videos. Obviously, if you're e-com, there still needs to be it's going to be about your product, probably in some ways, right? But it shouldn't just be, it shouldn't look like an ad. Right. Is the main thing here. Because if you actually want anyone to see your videos, you need to build some sort of emotional connection with your audience. So you need to be a real person and not just a logo. And it takes a lot of effort. So it could be, what are the questions that your customers have just about, this industry, about your product, what are ways that you can improve your viewer's life with a quick video? And that's really tough too. It's like, we're talking about usually under a minute. What can you do, record really quickly to change someone's life potentially? And as someone who's kind of very wordy, and like with blog posts, I like to write long blog posts, trying to be succinct and focus on one thing in under a minute has been a challenge for me, but like a good challenge. It's forced me to do that. So I think before anyone creates content, you should consume. So get on TikTok, get on Reels, and start going through that feed of what stops you. What stops you to makes you actually want to watch this video? What makes you just want to fly by it? And a lot of times, first of all, they take forever to get to the point. Like if you don't say anything in 3 seconds, you're done. You're not going to get anyone to watch your video. So whether you call it a hook or whatever it is, it's something that like this is what I'm going to talk about that's going to help you keep watching, whatever that hook is. But what are the things that annoy you about videos? And like, I don't want to do that. Well, don't do that. And I think over time, like once you kind of realize what you like as a consumer, and start to realize like how different this is from any other type of content, it'll help your creation strategy as well.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple of things for mistakes that people make when they're creating reels for TikTok and Instagram. Can you mention some more mistakes that people usually do when they start creating some reels and TikToks?
Oh, there are lots of mistakes. I mean, absolutely not getting to the point. Yep. And this could be, the first few seconds, but also just throughout the video. Now, and I want to be clear too, like, don't let this intimidate you to the point where it's got to be perfect before I create my first video. Create bad videos in the beginning. That's fine. Ultimately though, you want to start editing your video, and it shouldn't usually just be like one quick shot unless you're really good at getting to the point and kind of being quick about it. So that's part of it as well. I think ultimately, like, it's a really bad audio. I've seen, but again, I don't necessarily want people to stress about that stuff because that's going to be what keeps them from starting. Exactly. So it's like, oh, I don't have these lights yet. I don't have this mic, so I shouldn't even bother. Like, again, embrace. You're going to create something bad. But yeah, I think just so I don't want to focus too much on what mistakes people make in those kind of videos, because it's at least an attempt. So maybe like the biggest mistake is they worry too much about it being perfect, right, and they don't get started. Because what you can't do is this: you can't create a video maybe for a couple days and say, I didn't get any results, and then you either stop or like you wait until a week later and then you publish another one. You've got to be all in, and you've got to be committed to this. Because it's a roller coaster. I mean, even for me, like I just had a really good week on TikTok where it seemed like every second I get a bunch of new followers and new comments and stuff. And then all of a sudden it trickles down and slows down. But I'm creating new videos every day, and it's part of my routine. And because of that, there's also always a new video that might hit and it might not, but it gives you that opportunity. So that commitment, that lack of commitment, I think is the biggest mistake that I see people make in the early going.
Yeah, we are all one content piece away from something great happening, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What do you think about the future of TikTok? Is it stable? Should we focus on creating content for this platform, or perhaps advertising in some more?
So truthfully, like I was advertising on TikTok, which is a lot like anyone who's run Facebook ads, the Facebook ads manager, I'm pretty sure a lot of the same developers created the TikTok ads manager, and it's very similar. But as this talk of a ban gets louder, like I'm totally fine like publishing a bunch of videos there, because it's just one of like 6 or 7 places I'm going. And even though my TikTok is doing really well there, I've pulled back on. I've stopped advertising just because it's like I don't want to spend money on something that is just going to disappear for me. So, I mean, that doesn't mean that everyone else should do it. Like if your audience is in a country that isn't, a risk of a ban, and then it's probably not as much of a concern. But this is also why, again, I think it should be looked at as a commitment to a format, not a platform. I've been really happy with the growth I've had on TikTok in 6 months, but it's also like the overall strategy that has been really good for me, that I'm reaching people I hadn't reached in years on Facebook and on Instagram, and, LinkedIn, and all these places. So look at it as more of a broader strategy, as opposed to, should I, build this brand on TikTok? That's just probably one piece of that puzzle.
Yeah. I'm here with the live Q&A questions from our viewers right now. There is so much love for you coming out of this pipeline of questions, but there is a couple of them that I will mark right now. It's coming from Angel Deutschev, and he wants to know your thoughts about VR, AR, metaverse in general.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so I think the biggest issue with VR and talking about the metaverse is accessibility to all. And I think this is one of the things that Meta tried to address recently by bringing some prices down. But the difference right now between the metaverse and the internet is like, you just need a phone, some kind of smartphone to access the internet, whereas you've got to buy completely new equipment. In most, like I guess there's some sort of web version of the metaverse, I don't know, but it's going to require a complete change of behavior to start using the metaverse. And look, some people are all in and they're doing it, and they're kind of early adopters. I think something needs to happen though to make it so that it's inviting to all of us. And if a kind of a nerd like me, if I'm not in the metaverse, that's kind of an issue. Yeah, that's kind of an issue. And that's not to say that there's no future for it, but I think obviously Meta has struggled a bit, that they haven't been able to gain the traction there they wanted. I mean, they've seen this as a long-term strategy. So they changed their name and everything for the metaverse. But yeah, the question is going to be, is this something that we want to spend a lot of our time in? What's advertised? What's a brand's presence going to look like in the metaverse? I think for me right now, it's sort of similar to AI in that we have to at least be aware of what's going on. I don't see this like AI in that I think AI, the future is AI, definitely. I have no doubts in my mind that the future involves AI.
Yep.
The metaverse, I'm not completely sold yet because of some of these hurdles that we have to get over. Like that we all have to own some hardware that right now is still pretty expensive for everybody. And also it changes, like you can walk around with a phone. Are we gonna be walking around with these headsets or something? I don't know. It's just all, to me, that sounds like a strange world. But, and again, if you haven't convinced me yet that it's gonna be cool, you've got a long ways to go. So with just like the main the main population. So I think there's still obviously a lot of people, a lot of money behind making this a thing. I think it has potential. I know a lot of people are excited about it. It's a very small group.
Right.
But that's kind of where I am right now, is a little bit of a skeptic on, okay, is this something that's really going to change our lives in a year, in 2 years, 5, 10?
Yeah, I feel you, man. Completely feel you. You've been in the game for such a long time. Do you have a take on changing the behavior of consumers?
Well, yeah, I mean, just from the time I started, and I see it with my business, kind of what I was saying is that people were open to long form content, much more open to long form content. And everything was about reading stuff, reading articles.
Sure.
And I think the turn might have happened somewhere along the lines of when marketers really started to get into clickbait, right? Where everything was about the headline and not the content, not what actually is in the body of the article, right? So people stopped reading. They just started sharing headlines basically without actually reading what was going on. Yeah. And I think that was kind of the start. And then, yeah, obviously then now we're into this time where it's fast video. The crazy thing to me, I don't even remember how many years ago this was now. I'm sure you remember this, when Facebook rolled out autoplay video.
Yes, I do remember.
And like, this is why, like, for years I've always kind of been skeptical of any feedback from Facebook users, because they're always wrong. They're almost always wrong. Like, if you listen to what they say, Facebook users say, they're like, they hated autoplay video
all the time,
right?
Yeah.
Like, how do we turn this off? This is never gonna last. Everyone's gonna abandon Facebook. This isn't gonna work. And now everything is autoplay video. I think part of that is because Facebook/Meta saw the metrics. They saw that it doesn't matter what people say. They are much more engaged with the video that auto plays as opposed to something you have to push to start. And so I think that has been a huge, obviously, I mean, everything is video now. So that was a huge change in consumer behavior.
Yeah. Do you think that Meta actually made a wrong move, investing heavily in VR, while the real game changer right now is turned to be AI?
Maybe. Maybe, because that was a huge investment. I mean, we won't know for sure for probably a few more years. I think we've heard some things recently. I don't.
At least 10 billions.
Right. I heard something recently about how they've moved some of that investment to AI.
Right.
Which tells you that they're acknowledging maybe slightly that they may not have made the right bet. But they are so deep into that bet, again, changing the entire name of the parent company to Meta, that it's kind of hard to go back at this point. And honestly, that's what really confused me at the time when they made this huge pivot, is that when you change your name to Meta, you're either going to benefit and it's going to pay off in the long run, or you're going to be a laughing stock. And it's like, 10 years from now, there's no metaverse. You're like, why are they Meta? if they still exist, you know?
Mm.
So yeah, it's tough to say. Skeptical. I don't know why they wouldn't have seen the AI stuff coming, because they are pretty deep into machine learning and
Exactly.
algorithms and things like that.
It's strange.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like there are a lot of departments at Meta that don't talk to each other. Like, for example, and I complain about this a lot. They're amazing with machine learning, with a lot of the advertising, right?
Yeah.
But they can't detect just basic scams and fraud on Facebook. Like the ones that have been going on forever about how your page has violated terms and click this link and all that. Like, how does that stuff still exist? And a lot of times they even say they are Meta, like they set up pages and say that they're Meta, maybe even use a logo or something. It's just, it baffles me that they're so good with machine learning and whatnot, but they can't attack that. So it tells me it's completely different departments as well. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel you. Nedelina asked here that could you please let us know your opinion on Facebook Reels? Are they going to take over TikTok and Insta Reels, for example? Should we focus on Facebook Reels instead? Also, would you recommend Facebook ads in the forms of short videos?
Good question. So first of all, there's a huge difference between publishing, the impact of Reels on Facebook versus the videos on TikTok. TikTok, that's the entire platform, is those videos, right? On Facebook, Reels, they're making it more prominent, but it's still just one of many types of content. But it's in terms of what's most effective, and so actually I've been following this pretty closely with my own content, and it's really interesting. So because I published the exact same video across all of these platforms, you would think though that one platform would always do better, but they're all so different, in terms of the algorithms and whatever, the audience, what works well, what doesn't, the timing, whatever. But like, I'll have a video that does best on TikTok, doesn't do well on Instagram or Facebook, but I've also had videos that do great on Facebook Reels and not so great on TikTok or Instagram. So again, I would say don't worry too much about picking one place. If you're going to create these videos, publish them everywhere, and you don't have to do it all at once. And that's not, so for me, I picked TikTok to start. I felt like it was a safe place to start because no one was watching my videos on TikTok, right? Because I had no audience. And so once I felt comfortable, then I started pushing them out to Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels. But I think you absolutely should take advantage of as many as you can. Don't feel like you have to create unique content for all of them, which I know is a bit of a change from what we normally say with other types of content. But assuming you're not taking the TikTok video that you edited within the TikTok app and you've got the TikTok watermark on there, I wouldn't necessarily be publishing those everywhere. Again, you got to start somewhere. And actually, I think I did that a few times when I was getting going. But I wouldn't limit yourself to say, oh, is it worth it to go to Facebook Reels? It absolutely is. Well, first of all, absolutely. So, I've got an audience. It's been there forever on Facebook, right? And that's my biggest audience, but it's also dwindled in terms of like how many people I'm reaching. So once I started this strategy with Facebook Reels, though, I started getting a lot more comments from people. And that's when they were telling me, I haven't seen your content in years, and now I'm seeing your videos every day. And so that is absolutely something to consider. But in terms of ads, potentially, yes. So the issue again with Reels is oftentimes they're not going to be great at driving traffic. So what is your end goal with that ad, would be my first question.
Mm.
So I kind of look at it on the flip side of that, because I've found that those who watch my reels are hyper engaged,
Right.
and potentially a customer. So I actually do a little bit of remarketing there with people who have watched 95% of my reels. But even if you don't do the remarketing, just remember, just that getting in front of them on a daily basis can make all of your marketing more effective. And maybe even your ads, whether they're reels or not, could be more effective because they've been seeing you and you've been making that emotional connection with them.
Yeah, I completely resonate with the things that you are saying right now. You basically have to stay top of mind, right?
That's right.
Okay, so what is the best lesson that you learned throughout the years in general for our industry?
Experiment. Honestly, look, what works for one person isn't going to work for another necessarily, is the first thing. Like, anyone who says, I've got this formula for running Facebook ads and it's going to work for you, is lying. Like, they're different industries, different situations, so many factors that contribute to what works and what doesn't. And I think what often happens is, as advertisers, we want an easy solution.
Right.
So we want people to tell us how exactly to create this campaign for the best results.
True.
And I think I'm pretty clear about this when I teach. It's that I want to give you the tools to know what you can do. Like, what are the various options that are available to you, but how you customize that for you is something for you to figure out from there, right? Because like, for example, going broad. Is going broad going to work for you? Maybe, but you won't know until you try it. So, I mean, there's so many things I've done in the past where it's like a light bulb goes off because I try something and like, oh, wow, I did not expect those results. And it could be good or bad, but you don't really know without trying it. And I think so much of marketing is just experimenting, kind of having a beginner's mind, and using the information that's out there from other people as a starting point, but not feeling like you have to do it the way everybody else has done it.
Nice. There is one question from Rafael. He's asking about, he's actually mentioning here that he was a late adopter of TikTok, and he admitted that he's still struggling with using it regularly. What is your opinion about the things that contributed mostly on the huge success of TikTok, and what made it so fast growing company?
Well, I think because, number one, they're so focused on one thing. Right. So anytime you can focus like that, you can do one thing really, really well. And I think that's been kind of the issue with Facebook Meta the last few years, is they're trying to do a bunch of different things. So TikTok has mastered short form video. That's it. Video is very, very engaging, and they've got an algorithm like everybody else. And the stuff that's most engaging, you're going to see more of, and it works. So, but I will say, Raphael, in terms of your struggles, the main thing is this. First, keep it simple. So if you found it's hard for you to stay committed to creating videos, make them as easy as possible. Just all you need is your phone, and record a thought, whatever that is. Don't worry about all the editing and all that stuff necessarily in the early going. Like, whatever it takes just to get you to record and put something out, try to put something out every day, at least one thing. And from there, you'll start learning, what you like, what you don't like, how you can make stuff better, how you can be more efficient, and then maybe you can polish it up a little bit. But it is a full commitment that you have to embrace that it's going to be hard and maybe you're not going to be very good at it in the early going, but it has to be a long-term look. I mean, there's so many people like who I've followed even 6 months ago who no longer publish, who no longer create videos.
Yeah.
And
it's a pity.
Yeah. So it's the people who stick to it, who get the most out of it. And it's hard, but it's like everything else. It's funny because I can apply this also to how my business started in the first place. I wouldn't have a business except for the first 2 years, I wrote a blog post almost every day. I wrote like 650 blog posts over the first 2 years. And that's why I got the traffic. That's why Google started to love me. That's why all of a sudden my list started building and I started selling. All that happened because of that consistency. So whatever it takes to be consistent, to simplify things, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, there is one very interesting question. What's your advice on communication with stubborn clients?
Oh, stubborn clients.
Right.
Well, they hired you to be the expert. So while they can have some feedback in the process, they need to trust you.
Right.
So if their stubbornness is about them trying to tell you how to do things, I think there's a question of whether they should be your client.
Right.
And also, so I think we need to set that tone in the early going as well, right? So establish that you are the expert, that you don't want them to be overwhelmed with too much information, that you're going to give them, exactly what they need to understand, how things are going. Also establish this is a long-term strategy. Make sure that they have reasonable expectations up front for what to expect. So don't overpromise in the early going. So if you've got a new potential client who it's a new business or it's low budget, which is usually the stubborn client, low budget, or they don't have like a good website, a strong social following or anything. Help them know, like, I'm going to do this, but this is what you can expect. You're not going to see a ton of results. Yeah. I think if they go in with that expectation right away, they're bound to be more open to, whatever happens and kind of trusting you. But I think this is also goes back to, while potential clients vet you to make sure that you know what you're talking about, to be a good consultant, you need to vet your potential clients to make sure that they're going to be good to work with. So first of all, it's a matter of them having an established brand, if possible, that will lead to results and put you in a position to succeed, because it's much, much easier to succeed with an established brand over one that no one knows what it is. And maybe they've got a bad website and this and that. And just know up front, even if it's it's going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging. Does that potential client have an open mind? Are they understanding that this is going to be difficult? So those are the kind of things we need to establish up front. There are warning signs for that. There should be, but definitely establish that you're the expert here. And if they're going to be difficult, they might not be worth it as a client.
I love the advices you just gave us. It's just straight to the point. Thank you very much about it as well. Do you think that the videos have to be native as possible, or we have to polish them and add some editing and stuff like that? What's your take on that?
So there are a couple ways to look at that. First of all, I don't think that there's any benefit or penalty one way or the other, whether you edit within the app. Okay. I've done both. It's kind of hard to say now because I haven't done a lot of editing within the app lately, but it's not like those videos did particularly well when I was editing in the app. And now that I'm not editing in the app, I have stuff that does really, really well. So I don't think that matters. The one thing I'll say, there are two things here. The first is editing in the app usually means you're doing something quick and easy.
Right.
So that is absolutely a benefit. Like if you are overwhelmed by the extra work that could be involved with editing, like on your laptop or something, and everything that goes into that, just do whatever's easiest to get you going. Of course, the one issue with editing then in your app is that you can't really take that same video and then put it in a different platform, right? So there's some give and take there. That's why, you know, I do edit externally so that I can have one video that I just send to all these places. I can be more efficient that way. But yeah, I wouldn't be worried about any kind of penalty or anything. It's really just about, you know, those two questions that you have to answer for yourself is like, can you be efficient? You know, do you want to publish it multiple places? Those are things you gotta consider.
There are so many people asking questions. So would you share with us how could they contact you if they need any help with their social media or marketing strategy?
Sure. Well, first of all, go to jonloomer.com. That's my home base. But if you want to be, for example, if you want one-on-one help, I do accept one-on-one bookings. I don't take on clients these days otherwise, but you can set up 45 minutes to talk to me. Beyond that, I do have a private community as well, and that's the Power Hitters Club. So if you go to powerhittersclub.com, you can learn more about that. But there you'll have like a private Facebook group. We do weekly strategy sessions within my elite community. I do a weekly webinar. You can ask questions of the group. And I can answer some of those too. Or if you just have a quick question that you have for me or my team, you can just drop us an email at info@jonloomer.com or through, you know, any of the like Facebook Messenger or whatever as well. It goes to the same place.
Very nice. Jon, thank you so much for your time. It was such a pleasure, unbelievable experience that you've been through, things that you've made. It's just a great pleasure to have you here, man.
It's a pleasure being here, Alex. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, have a nice one. And hopefully we're going to keep in contact and have you soon again here.
Sounds good.
Bye. Thank you very much.